Alright, so today I want to go over cylinder head. If you're going to pull yours off and have it rebuilt or machined or whatever. I had a couple customers ask me about measuring warpage and all this other stuff. If you're going to pull a cylinder head off a 6-liter, your best bet is to have it machined and take it to a machine shop. Don't even, it's not worth your time, your money to, save your money and do it the right way. Take it off and either have a new one ready to go or take it to a machine shop if you want to save some money and have it looked at a machine shop. So I'm going to give you some pointers on things to look at and why you should do this. Okay, so first off, first thing I do when I take these heads off, since I have a machine shop here and I can do everything myself, you want to check for cracks. So what I do is I tank the heads. I put these in a hot tank, and they bathe for like 24 hours to get them nice and clean. So that way I can see what I'm working with here. You got to strip the valves out of it, take the springs out, and the main thing that I'm going to look for is cracks in the head. You never really see cracks on the top of the surface here. Okay, this is not what I'm really referring to right now. Cracks that you want to look for are cracks that you can't see with your eyes. If you notice, like in this one, the yellow that's in here, okay, the yellow powder is a magflex powder. It's a magnetically charged powder. What it does is, you can see this line right here, that's a crack. A lot of it's worn off, but you can't see this crack when the valve is sitting in here on the seat. So what will happen is you don't know how far this crack goes. There's a water passageway right here, okay? And this water is traveling through this, all the way to the next spot. So you got another passageway right here, and it's just going to keep going. So your water port keeps on going all the way over across the head, okay? So if you have cracks like this one, the head would have to be, you'd have to mill this seat out completely, press in a new valve seat, and that's hoping that when you mill it, you got all the crack. It's only cracked so far. If you take your chances and mill it, you're going to be playing with fire, because if the crack goes farther than you think it does, you won't be able to seal it completely. So in my opinion, with this head, there was like 6 cracks. I had like 2 cracks in this seat, 2 in this seat, a couple in this one, 4 in that one. It's just, they're all over the place, and you can't really see them until you put the magflex in it. So to me, it's garbage. It's going to cost me more in machining to mill this out, press it, and hope it seals, compared to just getting a whole new casting that's brand new with hardened valve seats already in it. Okay, so if you have 6.0 heads that are basically brand new, or they're factory off of your truck, if you have mostly the 05, 06, 07s with the 20 mils, you probably have a little bit better luck, but 80% of the heads that I have taken off of these trucks have had cracks. In the last year, I've done, let's see, since January, I've done close to 40 trucks. I've done 40 head stub jobs, and maybe 2 of them had heads that I could reuse, if that. So this is the biggest thing that you want to look for. So don't even waste your time, unless, if they're cracked, just garbage. They're not worth anything. Second, if you have no cracks here, in any of the valve seats, you're in half good shape. We're still not going to worry about warpage yet. So next, what we'll do is we'll flip it over. Okay, so these are the valve seals. Okay, they're pressed on, and let's see here. I thought I had one laying here, but anyways, these valve seals on this one, this is the valve guide. The valve guide is part of the head on these. Okay, they're rimmed out to 7 mil, so you're gonna have a 7 mil valve stem. You want your valve stem to valve guide clearance to be less than 2 thou. Okay, less but not no more than 2 thou. So if you drop your valve stem down on the seat and you have more than 2 thou, you're pushing it. I like to see no more than 2. If you're 225, that's okay. 250, you're kind of getting out of bounds there, and you're gonna be. They're not gonna be the wear that it's gonna take. It's gonna leak in near future. You're not gonna get a lot of miles out of this. So I like these to be pretty tight. So no more than 2. If you're looking for longevity, keep it under 2. These heads will last forever. The biggest problem that I've had with aftermarket heads is the head guides are close to 3 to 3.5. They're rimmed way too big. So no matter what, you cannot find heads for a 6-liter Power Stroke in the United States that are made in the United States. They're all made in China or Mexico. So, and I even think they shut the Mexico plant down. So most of these castings are coming from China. Now, there's a couple of China importers. I've had some heads from, like, for say DK heads. You're gonna rework the crap out of them. Another one to stay away from is EP, is it Engine Performance Warehouse or whatever. They're like a chain. Stay away from them too. Their seats are harder, but you're still gonna have. No one's gonna sell you a head as a brand new head ready to go as a bare casting. You're always going to be buying basically a brand new core. So this is your second thing that you need to worry about is your valve guide clearance. So make sure your valves that you take out, you can reuse them, but make sure they're under 2 thou. Okay. Now, if your valve guide clearance is under 2 thou on every 32 of these things, there's 16 per head, then you're in even better shape. So next, what I would do next is your valve recess height. Okay, now the valves, if you're going to machine the head, which any machine shop probably will, just to surface them anyways to clean them up. These ones are really smooth, but I'd still clean them up. You can see, like, the head gasket blew right here, so you got a lot of blow by. But anyways, the heads, the valves, you want them recessed 25 to 30 thousandths. So if you what I mean is, if you take a straight edge, okay, you want the valve 25 to 30 thousandths under the surface of this, okay, under the surface of your head. And you can measure that with there's tools out there that'll measure it. I have a few here to measure deck height. So you want to measure your valve height and make sure that it's recessed into the head 25 to 30 thousandths. A lot of machine shops will go a little more, which is fine. I've seen them drop about 40 to 45 thous. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make up for it on the stem height. So if you end up taking 10 thousandths off of this head just to surface it, make it flat, okay? So you lost 10 thousandths of your valve height. You probably, if your valves are within it, or most of them I've seen them with about 20 to 25 on factory. So it's going to bring them to about 13 and 10. So they're going to be about 10 thou under. So and that's after decking this, if you have the head surfaced. So what you have to do is you machine cut the valve guide or the valve seats down to get the valves to go down to 25 to 30. Now, if you take 10 off the head, okay, what it's going to do is it's going to bring your valve up this way, right? But it's going to bring your stem that way. So you need to take, you're going to have to deduct minus 10 thou off the valve stem height, okay? And we measure the valve stem height from the base of the valve guide to the top of the stem of the valve, okay? We don't measure it from this, from the seat height. So if you take 10 off, you're going to deduct 10 thou, cut 10 thou off the valve stem. Now, if you recess the valve in to, if you cut these out about 10 thou down to get your valve seat to go down another 10, okay? So now you're going to put yourself between 20 and 30 on your valve recession. Now you're going to take another 10 thou off of your stem again. So now you're going to bring it, you're going to take 20 thou off your valve stem to make up the difference for what you dropped your stem plus the decking. Okay, because what you're doing is you're bringing the valve stem is actually going to be with your valve guide and your rocker. You got to make up the difference because you're going to be preloading your lifters more than what you initially need, and it doesn't have that much clearance in the lifters to make up for the differences. So you need to, if you cut the valve seats or the valve stems down, it'll make up the difference in your lifters, so that way they work just like factory. If you don't, then they're going to open up too much and you're probably going to smack a piston. So now what the dealerships do is when they pull your head off, they don't even worry about cracks. They just look at them with their eyeballs and see that there's no cracks in it. And then they'll take a straight edge, okay? And they'll put a straight edge across the top like this. And then they'll take a 4 thou feeler gauge. It used to be 2 thou back in like 06 to 08. It used to be 2 thou. But then they noticed that, hey, they warp a little bit more than we expect. So let's just change it to 4 thou. So what you want to do is you want to take a 4 thou feeler gauge and stick it underneath your straight edge, okay? And they would measure it this way, all the way across the head, all the way down. This side, it doesn't matter, because it could be a little warped. It doesn't make a difference, because when you start torquing these studs down here, you work your way out. So now it's going to make this flex, and it's going to make it flat. So it's going to seat no matter what. It doesn't matter how warped this is going from this way. It only matters if it's this way, because now your bolts are closer together, and you're not going to get this flat. Okay, so with your studs being here, this area here is not going to flatten out. From here to here, it will. The head will move. It's only cast. It's going to move a little bit because you're torquing it to 215 foot-pounds. So it's going to change the way the seat's onto the head. And plus, with a 5-layer metal gasket, it's going to seat and it's going to seal. And that's what they're supposed to do. But don't worry about warpage on a head. The biggest thing to worry about is cracks, valve guide clearance, and then once once you're done there, then go ahead and deck the head. You'll spend about $100 a head, if that, to have them machined flat. And I usually, if I get the valves recessed in here, and if I get them recessed, depending on how far it takes for me to get them to seal, especially on new castings. New castings a lot harder than used ones. The used ones, they're a little bit easier, so I don't have to take that much off. Brand new castings, I got to cut the crap out of them because they're just junk, and I told you you're gonna have to rework them. I've cut 12 to 20 thou out of a valve seat just to get it to seal up right. It'll cut and then it won't cut. So what it'll do is it'll go around and it'll cut and then not cut, and then it'll cut again. So anyways, don't on the used heads, they're a little bit easier to machine out because you probably don't have to do a lot of work to them, but the valve clearance is better. But yeah, so don't worry about warpage. Just get them looked at by a machine shop, and if they're cracked, you might as well buy new ones. I'm actually manufacturing heads. I got a supplier for these castings, and I've been machining them myself and selling them. I've put them on, I've done 30 trucks so far with the heads that I've built. I haven't had one problem. So if you guys have any questions about heads, I've seen companies out there, another thing to be careful about is there's companies out there that sell heads that have the O-ring in it, okay? That's not a bad idea. This is actually a pretty decent thing to do, and all it is like a 40 thou solid wire that goes around, and it acts like a crush water. It acts like it's biting into the gasket is what it's doing. But the problem that you're going to have with the head is, are they buying heads loaded from other companies, not machining them, and just using the tool to cut a wire in it and selling it to the average customer? So that metal wire will probably stop you from having a head gasket problem, but if the valves don't seal, and if your valve guides are too loose and you've got oil blowing by the seal, it's not going to do you any good. For, the heads are basically junk, so it's not worth burning all that oil. So if you get heads from me, you're going to get heads that are completely machined on the valve seats. The seats are all my heads are brand new. The valve seats are not titanium, by the way. They are a hardened alloy. They're I forget. They're a hardened alloy and heat treated, and also the valve guides are machined to they have the bronze valve guides on them. And then I also have OEM valves. I don't sell my heads with Chinese valves in them. I've seen the differences between the Chinese valves and the American made. Well, the valves that I get now are from SI Industries in California, but I've seen other valves from China and stuff, and they're just junk. They're not even flat, so you end up grinding the crap out of them just to get them to seal. But I can get valves, stainless steel valves from SI, or I can get you Inconel valves, depending on how much boost and pressure you want to run. So that's your choice there. The Inconel is going to cost you a little bit more. I don't O-ring them. I haven't had a problem with any head gaskets blowing on my trucks that I've done. And a lot of them are running SCT tunes with custom tune files. Even my truck has a custom tune file in it, and I don't have any problems with blown head gaskets. So, and it's been like that for over 6 years. So the heads you're gonna get from me, if you want to buy heads, I sell them for $2,500 per set, and that's including shipping. And they have hardened valve seats, bronze valve guides, SI valves, factory springs, SI valve seals, and have been machined, completely reworked, and ready to go, ready to bolt on. And they've also been, when we do a seal test to see if the valves are sealing 100%, I use a vacuum pump, and I have a tool that hooks up to the intake, and we basically vacuum test it. So we vacuum test that, and then I vacuum test the exhaust side to make sure that they're sealed, and I have a good suction there with no leaks. So anyways, this is your rundown for your 6.0 heads. If you have any questions, please comment or send me an email, and also subscribe. And hope you guys have some fun with your 6-liter.